Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joy Ray, and I'm bringing Chris Klimecky into the mix today. He's going to tell us a little bit about his background and his playing with Grieve the Astronauts and the Crystal Monkey Project. So before we start that, I do have a short announcement and a shout out to our sponsor, Luscious Moss Studio. It's owned and operated by Chad, Chris, and Ed from Washington. He's getting really busy lately. It's hard for me to get in there, but he does have a very collaborative and creative environment set up for, technically it was for drummers and guitarists, but he's also been doing studio work for myself and other people. So if you have any needs, just give him a call. You can find him on Facebook under Chad Chris Studio or Luscious Moss Studio, or Chad Chris, and get the information that you need there. All right. So, Chris, you've been a busy guy.
Hi, Joy. Great to talk with you.
Yeah, we did this before. I mean, about a year ago.
We did, and a lot has changed since then. So, yeah, great to be back to chat with you about everything that's going on.
Yeah. Well, I forgot to turn my comments on here. Let's do that. Okay. So one of the things that I have coming up on the 1st of May, just as a side note too, before we begin, is I have Raymond Hayden and Jessica Linwiddie talking about this Grieve the Astronauts Band. Is it called a band, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a band. It's a really interesting band, something I haven't been a part of in terms of this is largely a group of folks who are leaders of other bands. It's almost like that classic like 70s supergroup kind of thing, It's like a bunch of folks who are leading or have lead singer and leadership responsibilities in other groups all coming together, and we've got four lead singers basically on stage for the band, and bringing up guests, and like there's so much talent on stage. It's pretty cool.
Amazing. So speaking of talent, let's just for the people who hadn't been here before, I've got quite a few viewers now. I have over 1,200 viewers.
Fantastic.
And it keeps growing. But for them, what is your background, Chris, before we get into Grieve the Astronauts and the project?
Well, I've been songwriting and playing guitar since I was very small. So, getting on 40 years at this point, not to show my age too much, but we're mature musicians. So, there's no hiding that a little bit, right? So
well, let's say your music has matured.
Exactly. So it's melodic rock. I think in my early days, I was a little more towards the progressive rock style, big influences from Rush and Yes and the Genesis even, lots of those types of groups. But also on my guitar side, like Van Halen was my number one, and loved all the guitar heroes of the 80s. Van Halen, Vai, Satriani. At the time, Zakk Wylde for Ozzy, all of Ozzy's guitarists were amazing. But I kind of came of age with Zakk, and just have always loved rock guitar. Have sort of woven that into my songwriting, more modern influences like Foo Fighters and Alter Bridge. Mark Tremonti is one of my favorite modern guitarists, and again, sort of incorporating those influences into my own songwriting. I've always been very much about originals. Not that I won't touch a cover here and there, and you always learn something from playing covers, but I've always loved the creative aspect. So songwriting, recording, really the art of creation, right? The act of creation and the art of releasing something creative out in the world has always been a huge interest of mine, and continues to this day. I just really enjoy that, and collaborating with other artists is a big part of that.
Okay. And I don't remember how young you were or how old or whatever when you first started going out on gigs. Can you refresh my memory?
So gigs, I think I played my first actual gig when I was in 7th grade. What's that? 12 years old or so. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, and had been playing guitar for a number of years and violin before that. I actually started
Oh,
as a
really?
violin. Yeah, my mom's a concert violinist,
Oh,
so
my
she
goodness.
she still plays in. She's out in Port Angeles, out on the Olympic Peninsula here locally, playing in the Port Angeles Symphony. So yeah, the fretboard runs in the family, you might say. So
It's in your DNA.
that's right. That's right. So when I was like, violin's not for me, guitar really jumped in there, and that's right about when Van Halen 1984 released, and I was pretty hooked at that point.
All right. Yeah. So going from there to today,
Yeah.
I believe that you've been playing with a group of artists, Raymond Hayden and Jessica Lynn
Yeah.
Whitney and Serica Cherokee. And I don't really know everybody else in that band.
Yeah,
So can
Eddie
you,
Mendoza, Sid Anshel, our kind of core rhythm section. Got
okay.
this big show on Friday at the McMenamin Spanish Ballroom,
And where's that at?
that is in Tacoma.
The Tacoma
It's
McMillan's?
Tacoma. The McMenamin's Elks Lodge is the
Oh, yeah.
technical name for it. But the Spanish Ballroom is a great venue, and we're super excited and hope that lots of people come out for that. We've got Chris Jones band opening up, and
Yes.
Chris is going to join us for a song or two, during the Grieve the Astronauts set. Which again, like so much talent on stage, it's kind of crazy. We've got surprise special guests. We've got Regan Lane from Strangely All Right showing up and being a part of the show. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's sort of your classic rock concert, right? It's a concert approach with lights and really sort of taking in the experience and theatrics and costume changes and all that kind of stuff and real
This is
emotional.
happening with Grieve the Astronaut?
Yeah, real
Oh,
emotional flow to the show. I liken it, sort of the Pink Floyd, experience. If you've ever seen, videos of Pink Floyd's live shows, right? It's very much you sort of take in the whole experience and the emotion of it over the entire concert as it ebbs and flows. The Grieve the Astronaut very much has that and has that sort of keyboard bass, but I enjoy the guitar work in there as well. Each of those lead singers gets a chance to shine and lead a song along the way. So yeah, it's just lots of cool stuff. I'm very excited about it.
and so Chris Jones Band is opening. That should be interesting too. I wish I could get out there. I don't know if I can or not.
Oh,
But
he's a monster. He's great. What a voice, and yeah, he his band always tears it up. So it's going to be a great start to the show, and yeah, keep it flowing in the Grieve the Astronaut. We've got the full production group coming out to do the lights, and yeah, it's going to be cool. I can't say enough about how neat of a show it's going to be, and especially if you like that concert experience, right? If you're coming out to dance the night away, probably not, but if you really
come
want
out for a show. It's going to be a
yeah,
show.
exactly. Really want that kind of classic rock concert experience. Without going to an arena, right?
Right.
It's
Exactly. Well, that sounds like quite the experience. What do you do for Grieve the Astronaut? I know, but I want to ask you.
Yeah. So I do guitar, and I'm switching guitars out. It's sometimes big rock guitar stuff. It's sometimes very melodic to go along with Ray's very melodic songs. Sometimes I get flashy. Sometimes I go acoustic. Like it again, it's sort of a roller coaster of guitar work. That's one of the things that makes it fun for me, and hopefully fun for the audience as well. Is
Right.
it switches it up, and then there's it's not just sort of pounding your head the whole night through. It really does ebb and flow, and sometimes it's very melodic, and sometimes it's rocking out, and sometimes it's very emotional, and yeah.
How often do you guys practice all this?
Oh, as
Excuse
a
me.
group, we probably practice a couple times a month. Individually, it's a constant. It's like it's a lot of music, and it's not complex as like you might think reference progressive rock. It's not like musically complex necessarily, but there's a lot to it, and there's even within song,
a lot of pieces,
a lot of pieces to it, a lot of detail that dynamics and things that you want to get right when you're actually performing that kind of thing. So it's got to feel natural and relaxed and be in the moment. That's a really cool thing about this kind of performance as well, is you sort of have the sound just sort of overtake you. That's part of the experience, right? The sound and the lights, and you want it to be, an in the moment thing that you just can't get from, hearing the record or seeing a video of it. Being there is part of it, right?
Right. Well, I did write a song just not too long ago with Chris Jones.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, he's quite the writer. And we do have somebody on our, excuse me, who've made a comment about greetings, joy, and guests. So obviously they don't know you. Can you put your name there, guests? Listener, because I don't know who you are, but I do greet you, and I know Chris has too. So.
Right on.
Excuse me, I'm still recovering from God knows what. But it's just been one of those years, like, excuse me, we didn't have any as much sickness, so we had masks on, and all of a sudden I'm getting everything.
Getting more sick. Yeah, oh yeah, that's definitely a thing. Definitely a thing.
Okay, so I got a feeling, and I do want to say that on May 1st, I have Raymond Hayden of Grieve the Astronaut and Jessica Lewitty, who is a country artist who's also been working, I believe, in production. I really don't know what she's been doing. That's why I want this interview. Who will recap this and explain how this gig went. So it's interesting.
They'll both tell you all about it. So so the show is this Friday, March 31st.
Oh, cool.
Doors open at 7. You can get tickets online at the McMenamin's website or at the door. Basically the same idea. So come on out and enjoy that. We'll probably play. I think Chris Jones will start at 8, and the show will go till about 10:30 or so.
Yeah.
Lots of singing along and lots of just love in the crowd. It's very much.
You guys have to come north. I'm going south is always difficult for us, especially on a Friday night because of all the traffic. So trying to get down there is much harder.
Yeah, okay. I get it. Hopefully, it'll be worth it. It'll be good.
All right. Okay. Great. I can feel the excitement. So with the fact that you now are part of that band, and I also asked you here because when I interviewed you last time, you were talking about the Crystal Monkey Project.
Yeah. Let's talk the Crystal Monkey Project. I got a costume change for you here. All right, Crystal Monkey Project. Got to talk some Crystal Monkey. Let's do it.
Okay. So you were talking at that time, you were putting together a project, and I have to admit I didn't understand excuse me, all the ins and outs of this project. So can you tell me a little bit about where you were at that time and where you are now, and what this project is about?
Happy to. So we had released an album in 2021. It was our initial release in this band format. It's called Are We Enlightened Yet? Was the name of that album. And we really wanted to take that album, that music, to a live experience. We hadn't really performed it as, Crystal Monkey Project doing this music, and wanted to take it to another level. It was a trio. We wanted to have the big sound that we had on the album, and wanted to really show what we could do as a professional live performance group. So
is Crystal Monkey a band?
Yeah, Crystal Monkey Project. Yeah, Crystal Monkey Project is the name of the band.
I'm thinking it's a project of some sort. Oh no.
No, it is the name of the band. So it's a play on my name. Someone like 5 years ago
I remember this. And
We were the Chris Klimecky band,
yes.
and one of the band members was talking to some folks and saying, "Yeah, I got a thing with Chris Klimecky band," and someone's like, he actually had a hearing issue, and so he's like, "What, Crystal Monkey?" He just heard my name,
Yes.
Monkey. So like, hey, that's pretty good. Let's go with that. So yeah, it's a mishearing of my name. So Crystal Monkey Project is what came of that, and the album, and then yeah, seeing what we could do as a live show, and we had the tech and the sort of know-how and the tracks to be able to really put together. What was going in my mind was automated light show, video, really turn it into this sort of big concert experience, but for smaller venues, because obviously not going to be doing huge venues as a smaller local band. So, trying to think of the stages that we would be playing on, but still be able to present that bigger rock concert experience. Not totally different from what Grieve the Astronaut is doing, but we've got
I got these mixed up earlier talking to you.
Exactly. Grieve the Astronaut has a crew that sort of brings in the lights and manually does everything. I wanted to have this be very self-contained and have it be something that I could take, the entire show from venue to venue and be able to just set it up, and everything just works no matter where we go. And that took me about a year, almost.
Yeah, explain to me how what you had to do to set that up. I mean, how does this operate? How does it work? Without telling trade secrets.
No, it's not trade secrets. I want to give a moderately short version and not get too technical. So the whole thing is run out. The whole thing is run out of. Right. The whole thing is run out of a program called Cubase, which is, if you've heard of Pro Tools, or I don't know, there's all kinds of Pro Logic and lots of what we call digital audio workstation DAW programs that are controllers, and most people use them for recording. And what we've done is turned that on its head and taken that program, which triggers lots of capabilities and MIDI and all the things that it can do when you run it, and have it start triggering things like lights and video.
So with this program hears the music and knows at what point to do all this?
Correct. Wow. So it's sort of programming the entire thing. And we do have to have a click track in order for everything to stay in sync. So we have an in-ear monitoring system that we're hearing the click, and obviously no one else is. Yeah. That keeps us in sync. And one of the sort of requirements I had going up front was that it has to, when people hear, oh, you're using a click track, they think it's very stilted and sort of non-emotional and non-free. I wanted to make sure that it was a custom click track for every song that had flow, that had freedom, that had space. We could do pauses. We could, have some natural feel to the music, that it wouldn't be machine-like, but we would keep everything in sync. So that was part of the program, and this whole thing was making sure that the click sounded natural, that we could follow it, that then, the lights and the video all were in sync with it. It was a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And honestly, I'm still working on it. Like the Cubase file that I have has 17 songs. We've got about 8 or 9 finished at this point that really are a full show. And so far we've only done, 45 minutes to an hour shows. The video project that sort of spurred us talking, we ended up doing 7 songs in sort of finished presentation for that. Wow. And so that's about a half hour. And so that's been good enough. And I'll now, that we've got that base, that foundation to grow from, I'll end up doing the rest to make it a potentially hour and a half show. But it is a lot of work. I've kind of taken a break from it, honestly, to actually go perform the thing, perform it and do some other things before going back to just sitting on my computer and I have to have the lights set up in this room, which is its own, effort to sort of take over the space with lights and make sure everything's, working and coordinated. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of work, but I'm really, really happy with the end.
I got a question about that, but I do have somebody who has asked a question on Dublin Abbey. Patrick Patrick O'Donnell is on, and he said, how much time would you estimate you devoted to each song to provide that level of production?
Yeah. So once I had all the pieces in place, which is a big caveat because there was a lot of work in just getting the vision for what pieces, parts were where, which lighting elements I wanted, how that was all going to connect up and function in the first place. So it's a lot of initial setup time and planning and obviously purchasing equipment to just have the base in place. Once I actually knew what I was doing, though, once you sort of get all that foundation out of the way, I could go from, and I also did some things in pieces, like the video I managed separately, but I would contract that out to like a contractor on Fiverr. If you've ever used Fiverr before, it's a great way to get some just basic video. They're not gonna do anything too crazy or complex, but you can get some nice basic background video, and then I, sort of tweak it on my own. It's at least a starting place. So I do that in parallel. I'd say each song was about a month-ish of I have a day job, so I'm not doing this for hours and hours every day, but you're probably talking, I don't know, 60 to 100 hours for a song to really get everything.
You've done 7, you've completed 7, and you have 17 altogether.
Correct. So there's still a lot more work, but that being said, I've done more videos. I sort of got ahead of myself with the contractors, and so I've got more videos in place than the detailed lighting work, and automating that to really ebb and flow and hit all the specific cues and stuff. That's a big effort, and I've got I wanted to go big, so I have a pretty complex lighting setup, and I've got geysers that explode on big hits and things like that. So it takes a lot of focused effort to get all that programming to actually work.
That's probably an understatement, Chris.
You have to really want to do that kind of detailed and like sort of getting in and hanging out on your computer for hours and hours at a time to
so
get into doing
let
something.
me see if I got this. You have to program all this in. So you have to have a vision, and you have to know what, when, right? Lights and whatever else is going on in this program. So how do you test it? How did you actually see it real in live? Did you do it in front of an audience? Did you do it in a
right here, right in this room? Set the whole thing up. It's not a stage, obviously, but tried it, and it ended up being way tighter than you would actually have on a stage. But I could at least get everything in the basic format, the stage plot, if you will. I was able to set up in here, but honestly, most of it I would do first, just watching the coordination between the Cubase and the lighting program that's actually firing off the different cues. Much of the iteration was, you can just sort of see what's happening. Is it cueing at the right times? All that just by watching it. So I did a lot of iteration there before I had to, sort of setting up the whole thing, and watching it was in the last couple of iterations. And but that being said, you can never actually tell what's going on until you see it. I had to set it up and actually watch it, and inevitably, certain cues don't do what you thought they would do. Like, oh, that totally turned the right. It's like debugging. So anyone who's a computer programmer knows what I'm talking about here, because you have a vision, you write some code, you can edit it a bunch and, do all this stuff. But until you then hit go and run the thing and actually see it execute, and then you go, oh, there's a bug, and you sort of step through all the bugs. It's tedious and satisfying, it's all of those things.
So let's see if I got this right. You know that you work full time, correct? And what is the work that you're doing?
I'm a video game producer, so I am on the computer for at least 8 hours a day, anyways, and so I'll add 3 or 4 hours at night to do.
How do you get away with not wearing glasses?
Well, if I need to focus, I've got glasses.
Cool. And then you're in at least 2 bands that I know of: Grieve the Astronauts and
Chris Klimecky.
The Chris Klimecky Project.
Yep.
And
all for now, yeah.
Oh, on top of that, you're setting all this up, and it takes about a month. And how many hours did you say approximately for each song?
60 to 100 ish, right? When you spread it out. So, yeah, a little over a month maybe for there's calendar time and there's effort time. So as a producer, as a project manager, I take those things very seriously. And
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When do you sleep?
No, I love it. This is my passion. I should mention, this isn't to like say, oh, I do another thing, but like Songwriters in Seattle, I think we probably had a little chat about that before.
Yes, that's right.
It's a nonprofit.
You have another thing going for you. Yes.
It's a nonprofit organization that I run, and it has over 4,000 members, and we do probably 7 or 8 events every month at this point. And I'm lucky at this point. I've been doing that for over a decade. That most of that runs itself. So that's not a high.
Tell me a little bit about that. I once tried to get on that, never did. So tell me a little bit about that program.
Yeah, that's a passion project as well, but it's something to give back to the community. It originally started as just a reaction to there not feeling like there was much community support. There certainly wasn't record label support after the streaming sort of took over, and the actual funding in the music industry just dropped through the floor, and continues to be a sort of a disaster in terms of funding young artists. Like, there's not much there. It's a huge struggle to make a career out of it. And at some point, I in my career was like, I just want to have a community here that other songwriters to talk to. Songwriting and recording can be a very isolated endeavor these days. Everyone's recording from home and writing at home and all this. And so it just felt like once started getting together with some folks and it started to grow, just was a very natural, like, no, this is a really good thing. And it's something that a lot of people want to connect, right? They want to be a part of a community. They want support. They want even just some feedback, like, help them grow in their own artistic endeavors. So that's what Songwriters in Seattle is, and what we've grown into, full 501c3 for the last decade. And it runs itself. It's lots of events, and I host a couple of them, but we have lots of volunteer hosts, and it's something I think is a positive for our artistic community. That's why I do it.
Yeah. Wow. So you are a busy man. Do you have children?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they are grown. One is actually completely out of the house, and I have a senior in high school. So
all right.
Yeah, it's a little less
demand there
needed than in the younger years.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I just can't imagine, Chris. You're a dynamo.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of passion project. It's stuff that I love and that I enjoy spending my time doing, and it keeps me active and creative. And yeah, it's fun.
Gotcha. So with your Crystal Monkey Project band, I don't know the members of that band. I don't know how
Yeah.
many of you there are. I don't know if you practice together. I don't know. You may have said it, but this brain didn't absorb it, whether or not you've done this show, this lighting show, and all the things that happen on those songs that you put together. Have you done this somewhere? Have people seen this yet?
They have. We've only done it a few times, and those were largely just to test that the theory that I could take everything with me, pack it up, fit it in the truck, go and have it work somewhere else. So I haven't promoted them too largely yet. They've been in front of smaller audiences at very sort of safe, friendly venues, right? Just to make sure the whole thing would work. And then once we had that, we went into the Verge Studios here in Bothell. George Varhees helped us to video the whole thing, and that's really what we wanted to capture it very much live, very much unedited, in terms of like we didn't go and re-record things over it. We weren't playing over a pre-recorded track. Like we played the live show full out, and he recorded it, and had all the different cameras and such. And to represent that in a more permanent way, so we could, just like with you, like, I don't really get it. I don't understand what you're going after. We now have video. Like we have this full half hour, 7 songs. I would encourage folks to please go to my YouTube, especially if you're confused by what I'm talking about. YouTube.com/@Chris Klimecky is my channel. And, you can see that nice little nugget of, half hour of a show and what it looks like and what it sounds like. I
thought I put some video on. Did you by any chance go into Mature Musicians and look at the video that I put in there?
I didn't I
think I put something in there about that. I think I got one of the.
Yeah, I sent you a link to the channel. So,
yeah, because there was all kinds of stuff going on. I'm like watching this, and I felt like, we used to work at Rodia, and I was a driver and so forth. But anyway, for a production company here in town called Ritos, so we went to all these concerts, and excuse me, there were some concerts that used lighting in. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. In various ways. And I was looking at that and I'm thinking, oh my God, I felt like I was sitting at these concerts watching these big stars produce in their music and with all of this boom kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I mean, if you get this on a venue and I guess it would have to be the right venue. So I guess that's the next question. What kind of venues? I mean, Grieve the Astronaut at the McMinimans this Friday is a show. I mean, it's not really you're going to dance to the music. You're going to watch what's going on because there's so much going on.
Yep.
So what is this like? And what kind of venue would you play at?
So it's a great question, and it's. I know you didn't ask it as a logistical question, but it's almost more of a logistics question. Okay. Meaning, there are shows where you can sort of have the venue for the day, right? And there are venues where that's not possible.
For example, give me an example.
So we need time to set up a show like this. So if we're going to do the full production, we need to have a couple hours beforehand, a couple hours after. A lot of times you have venues that just do like 3 or 4 bands on a Thursday night. And it's like,
Vestas does that.
You have to go on and off. And so we're not going to do that show. We can do a fast on and off, but you're not going to get the full production. Right? Yeah. We can do an acoustic show at a coffee house. I can do solo acoustic at a coffee house or whatever, right? And I do that monthly. I do at Soul Food Coffee House here in Redmond. I do.
You do? I live in Redmond.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
every third Friday of the month, the
Okay.
Songwriters in Seattle showcase. I show
Third
up there, and
Friday.
sometimes I bring the Crystal Monkey guys. So you mentioned you don't know who they are. Mark Crowder on bass, and Rob Pearsall does drums, and then in the acoustic setting, he actually plays rhythm guitar. He's multi instrumentalist, very talented. Um, so that's Crystal Monkey Project, and we want to do all of those different approaches. Like, we're not opposed to any of them. We want to play in front of people. We want to share this music. We want to entertain. But that for that bigger, lighting and video and the whole big production with the automation and everything, it's more about whether the venue will allow us to have the time to actually set it
That
up,
you need 2
bring it.
hours before, 2 hours after, then how long would the 17 songs take?
Well, if we did the full like 17, that's an hour and a half.
Hour
That's
and a half.
that's what we built the full thing for. But
Yeah.
again, they can do any time slice of that. And right now, we've got about 45 minutes to an hour that's really ready to go. I think I'm probably going to get to that last 45 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes this year. Like, that's going to be my next project now that I've got the videos done. You get one thing done, it's like they're all lined up afterwards. So yeah, I've now got my videos done for this. We can promote it. We can say, hey, we're out there. We're ready. This is what we sound like. Hopefully start to book some of those, and then I'll get back.
Where would you put something like that? McMinimans, maybe they would do something like that, since they're already doing a show with the
Perhaps there are a number of local theaters and
theaters.
venues that could do that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
They got the Lincoln Theater in Mount Vernon.
Right.
That would be perfect for
Right, exactly. That type of venue, I think, would be really nice, because they're not like a bar that's trying to just
Right.
get a bunch of bands in a night and
Right.
get on and off as fast
Right.
as you can. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we might be looking into to do the full production. But yeah, we'd love to do all those different versions.
Considering how much work you put into it, how much time it takes, how in the world do you figure out how to charge for something like this, or whether your venue can afford it in this area?
That's not that. I mean,
I'm not asking you how much. I mean,
no, that's not really a consideration.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to go back to that topic of the music industry, like, if you're doing music industry for the money, like, I think you're largely going to be severely disappointed.
Yeah.
That's not what I do it for. I want to put on an entertaining show for people. I want to put some interesting music that I think is worth sharing out into the world, and I'd love for people to hear it. I'd love for people to love it, but there are things you can control and things you can't control, and the best I can do is just present, write, create to the best of my ability, and hope that it finds the people who it resonates with, and make those connections. That's what I'm doing it for.
So in other words, you're saying that most likely this would be affordable enough for this area to do in venues like theaters, for example.
Yeah. I mean, it's largely going to cost me money to put on this show. Like, I don't have any illusions of actually making money from this.
You could be a millionaire. You're not going to happen, right? It's music.
Not even in the realm of my thought.
I want to do a compare and contrast, because I mean, if I think I got a little on the ball. I don't know all of this electronic stuff, and I've never seen a Grieve the Astronauts show live. Oh gosh, hide my head. But I know you guys are south and we're north, and it's much harder for us to get there with Kurt working full time and ridiculous hours and all this other house stuff going on,
Yep.
So what I'd like to compare and contrast is, since there must have been some interconnection. I know you kind of separated them for me, but there had to be a little bit of connection there between Grieve the Astronauts and the Crystal Monkey Project as far as ideas about giving a show. I mean, obviously, Grieve the Astronaut gives a show. I mean,
Yep.
like a concert show.
Yep.
And you want to do something similar, but in a slightly different venue. So how would you compare and contrast these both these shows? Crystal Monkey compared to what Grieve the Astronaut does.
Oh, I think it is. You're not off base in sort of conflating the two. In that, one of the reasons that I joined Grieve the Astronaut, aside from just friendship with Raymond, he's a great guy,
Great Raymond,
very generous as a band leader in terms of ideas and in terms of sharing the spotlight. Like I was saying, like every lead singer has a different song to do that. So great band leader, great friend. But he and I share a lot of, I'd say, just artistic similarities in that we want to put on a good show for the audience. And we both have that sort of classic rock. Like we have, been to lots of these big rock concert shows that we would like to present that, with our music, and that our music, has similarities to as well. And I think there's just a yearning for that, since you rarely get that on the local level, right?
So yeah, it's kind of the same old. I mean, the music and people dancing, that's just kind of where it's at. But without producers supporting local artists and singer songwriters throughout the United States like they once did, there's something missing, and I think people feel that too, and they long for, they no longer could go to the. Well, they can still do it, but it's just not as often and very expensive. Very expensive.
Yep. The big shows are extremely expensive these days. So if we can even capture, a bit of that and be able to bring that to a local audience, there's still the differences between the bands are pretty. I think if you heard our songs back to back, Grieve the Astronaut is very keyboard oriented.
Because Raymond probably
to play the part of like a David Gilmour, Pink Floyd-ish, guitar. Like there's plenty of guitar, but it's very keyboard oriented. Whereas Crystal Monkey Project is more of the guitar energy and a little more up tempo and a little more of the prog rock stuff in there. And that's just the difference between like Ray's and my style. But again, in terms of what we want to bring to the audience, I think we share some common ground that
there was a comment you made about lighting. You said that Grieve the Astronaut has a lighting crew that comes in and sets things up.
Yep.
So, and you also, by watching what you sent me and putting it on the Matured Musician site, there was a lot of stuff going on with lighting in there. And as you were playing, and you said this is all done on this program that you have, that it knows, hears the music and knows when to do this.
Yep.
So what's the difference between Grieve the Astronaut's lighting and your program? Is there a difference, or other than one's digitalized, or I always said the right term or not?
There is a difference. And first, let me say, like, I think they both work and do the job well. I mean, high praise for the crew for Grieve the Astronaut. Absolutely, they take the time to learn the songs. Put in their manual programs different lighting cues, so they can get close to the emotional flow of the show, right? So they're not just doing random stuff. They're not just flashing lights, crazy randomly or anything. Like they're really trying to coordinate. So big kudos to them. They actually take the time to try and get some cues. Even that being said, I can program a level of detail into the automated program that is even more detailed Like I can choreograph. It's more like choreography. I can be very specific about, exact timing, hitting exact hits, flowing with every change to the music as it's warranted, and it's going to be the same every time, right? I can count it once I've got that programmed in. I know that it's going to hit, not sort of dependent on someone paying close attention and
Right.
hitting a button, right? It's just it's going to go every time. So
Okay.
I think in terms of the experience, the audience may not feel a difference, but there are definitely differences. And once I've got it programmed in, not only is it the same every time, but like I can count on that for years now, right? Like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's in there. I can tweak it, whatever. But every time Grieve the Astronaut does a show, we have to do production prep. We have to pay a crew. We have to, do all the heavy lifting to make a show happen.
Yeah.
There's differences that the audience may not see in the end product, but it feels very different to the folks actually making it happen, right?
Another question about that. Now we talk about lighting and we talk about playing. So obviously your band is playing and your computer is picking up these clues and going into the lighting experience. What about sound? How is sound brought into all of this, and how is it different from, if it is, Grieve the Astronauts? So we're comparing the two bands.
So one of the things that I have loved about the program setup, again, sort of invisible to the audience, but it comes out in things sounding better and being more consistent. And that is, I can program the Cubase to send cues to my guitar pedal board to change sounds at the right times. So I have, ever since I was small and playing in bands, I'm like dancing on pedal boards, like, and you got to be right there at the pedal board all the time, punching buttons and stuff. And it's one thing in Grieve the Astronaut where I'm not singing. I can actually focus on that, and I can punch up the right sounds and everything fine. But boy, when I'm Crystal Monkey Project, I'm singing, and really trying to focus on singing as well as I can. When I have to like look down and I'm singing and I'm punching buttons, like it's tough, right? And ultimately the singing suffers a little bit just because you can't focus on it. So having that be automated, that's a real game changer for me, honestly. I know it's a bit like technical detail, but it also, for the performer, huge difference to just have that be automatic. I can go away from the mic. I can sort of move around the stage. I can engage with the audience and just play the parts, and the changes in tones and sounds, level boosts for solos, all that stuff just automatically taken care of. So that's actually a huge difference, and something that I have absolutely loved, to not have that burden of that. And I sing better. Like that's again, what the audience hears is just a better performance.
Well, during COVID, I got a pedal board. No, I don't know the first. I'm not a lead. First thing about pedals, but I know how to tune. I know how to harmonize. I got a harmonizer.
Yep.
And I don't know what the other pedal is. I can't remember. But anyway, I got three pedals. One I don't know. That's lovely. Anyway.
Yeah. I do a lot of tone changes: clean, dirty, solo, different things. I also have my voice going through there so that when I'm in between songs, I don't have a bunch of echoey stuff. It's a lot clearer. And then as the tune progresses, I add some reverb, sometimes add some delay. All the delays are timed perfectly to the tempo, even the change as the tempo changes, that I mentioned before, to have the natural flow. I've got that switching in and out with different settings, so that it's always sounding complete. And
This sounds very much like a pedal, and I can't think of what it is, but the lead will play on like a rhythm lick or certain beats. They program in these beats, and it keeps coming around, and they play to it.
Yeah, the looper. Yeah,
It's not a looper. That's it, and it sounds a lot like this is similar to looping, only on a much broader scale. Am I incorrect? Or
yeah, it's just that mine is a little more pre-planned. A looper, you're
yeah,
doing it in the moment,
right, right,
and hitting record and taking that chunk in the moment, and then it repeats, right? And then you've sort of established a track to play with, whereas mine's a little more pre-planned. And
yeah,
what one last note on this is that we're adding some members to the band. One of the things that was the goal for this year was to take some of the sort of fill-in backing tracks that we have some extra like percussion-y things going on in the background, and little some extra, like when there's a harmony guitar or something, some extra guitar texture, it's sort of playing in the background. We're bringing in some new members. Keyboards is another one. So as we do that, we pull more stuff out of that backing track, and it's just going to make the show better and better. It's exciting times as we now take this foundation that built on last year and just keep taking it up a notch.
Yeah, I remember what the other pedal is. The other pedal is, well, I can turn it off so you don't hear any sound when I'm tuning, and I can turn back
Sure.
on again. And then when the lead plays, I can fade off so that you hear the lead and not me overpowering them. But the
Nice.
thing I meant to bring up about that is that, well, I'm not as experienced as leads are, so I sometimes hit the wrong thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Guar, but there's a really terrible band out there. And when I hit my harmonizing pedal and hit the volume, it came out like, it's like, oh man, it's just settling off. I was at a job.
That's inevitable, right? And that
Yes.
goes back to when you're doing things manually, and
Yes.
mistakes are part of a show, and it doesn't mean that there, even with all this
Right.
automated tech,
There
that there
aren't
aren't
mistakes.
mistakes. Like there's we're still playing, right? We're still playing it live. We're still singing it live. Like there is still very much in the moment, live experience to be had. It's not like listening to a recording. In fact, if you were to listen to even those videos that we recorded of the live performance against what we had for the album, like there's a lot of difference. Things continue to evolve, and there's just, like I said, in the moment of performance.
What happens when you play something wrong? What happens when you make a mistake and it's cued off of your system? What does it do? Does it know what is happening?
Well, the system, like if the system were to screw up, I would just stop it and we'd play the song, just the three of us, like that. If the computer crashed or something, like the show doesn't stop. The show must go on. Like no matter what.
Yes.
There are more major things, right? But the band's still playing. We know these songs up and down. Like we're gonna put on a show no matter what.
Well, what I was asking more was what happens? You said that you've got this all programmed in, so when it hears a certain part of the song, it then puts different lighting on or whatever, correct?
Yeah, it's not really reacting to what we're doing.
Oh, okay.
It does its own thing. Once it's programmed in, it's doing its thing. It would have to, literally, the computer would have to like crash and fall apart for that piece of things to malfunction. So if you're just talking about what happens with a performance mistake, like we just keep going. You just, as I would if that thing wasn't
right. I thought they were connected, so now that straightens me out there.
No, we're just playing it the best we can, and things happen in live performance that doesn't change. The
other thing is, I've been setting up sound for gigs for a long time, and my husband, not me, and there's times when electronics there's like a low flow of electricity, and you get your song goes out, or all
Yep.
kinds of things can
Yep.
happen electronically. So on these venues that you're at, would they have to have a really strong Wi-Fi or and signal, or are you ever worried about the electronic connection there through the Wi-Fi and through?
Yeah,
Are you
well, there's no connection to the internet.
okay?
There's no Wi-Fi involved.
Okay.
I think every band deals with various technical difficulties
Yeah.
and limitations of the venue.
Yeah.
If it's an old building and
Yeah.
electricity is a
Yeah.
problem or something, I think that just comes down to you make adjustments to what you're given, right?
Would this in any way influence your program?
Sure. Well, it would, you either start taking pieces out of it, right? Or maybe certain lights that draw too much current.
And you can do that on the spot
Sure.
oh, okay. So you can
Yeah,
do that.
I can run the program without it. Like I said, like I can run the program without any lights set up. So that doesn't have to be there. We can have the video be on or not. Like it'll still run. It's sort of like you can pull different pieces out of it, and it's still all the way down to us being totally, just the three of us playing the songs. Soon to be 4 and 5 of us playing the songs, right? And in different ways, whether that's acoustic or electric or solo, right? That we're pretty flexible, and if something's not working, then yeah, you just sort of dial it back until it works.
So what are you seeing 5 years from now? Do you have any goals? Do you have any insight into where this thing is? I mean, in a year, it's just a lot of things have happened, and you made a lot of progress, Chris. But do you have a vision for the next 1 to 5 years?
Yeah, so I would love to keep developing this live show. That's sort of the next on the list. So that's the next short-term thing, is keep developing the show, keep iterating on it, keep adding songs to it. I want to get back to songwriting. I've sort of taken a break from that for a little bit. So
I wonder why.
with songwriting, there's probably a new album or at least some singles in the next year or two to just expand on what we've got, and to start incorporating some of these new members of the band. It's another thing, like if someone can't make a show, like we can be flexible with if someone's sick or something like that. Like show must go on, but we want to collaborate. We want to have new songs that have these new artists built into the system. So there's that, and largely I want to grow the audience. I hope that folks do share and support what we're doing, because it opens up more possibilities for the venues that we can perform at when the fan base grows, when people support what we're doing, they want to see and experience this, and that's one of the reasons I want to be with Grieve the Astronaut is, you start getting this collaboration and being exposed to folks who the music may resonate with. That's what it's all about, and that's very difficult these days to find the folks who your music would resonate with. Right? Original music is just tough that way.
Yeah, gotcha. So what do you have coming up? What are you promoting right now?
Yeah, I think number one is the Grieve the Astronaut show this Friday at McMenamin Spanish Ballroom in Tacoma. That's number one. Hope folks can join us there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then number two is all the video work that we did. It's the youtube.com/@Chris Klimecky. We just did the live from Verge Studios. It's a half-hour set. It's 7 songs. We're going to release that as audio as well on Bandcamp, chrisklimecky.bandcamp.com. You can see my whole back catalog, which includes the Crystal Monkey Project, of course, but my recent solo album, and that'll be where new stuff gets released as well, including the audio portion of this live from Verge Studios with Crystal Monkey Project.
All right. Super. Super.
Thank you so much, Joy.
Yeah, we're almost there. It's 59.54 seconds. Thanks for the update, Chris. It was great having you. Don't
Thank you
forget,
so much,
people,
Joy.
Grieve the Astronauts will be on this Friday night at 8 o'clock for the
Yep, March
starting with
31st.
Chris
That's
Jones
right.
Band opening. And can you post is any of these things on Matured Musicians so we can see them and have them there in front of us? Perfect.
Absolutely will do.
All right. Well, you just keep working. I don't know how you do it, but do you ever go on vacation?
I do. I grab the wife, and yeah, we'll get a little time here and there.
All right. So thanks again for coming, Chris. You have
Take care, Joy.
I wish you every bit of luck and hope this turns out the way you want.
Thank you. Best wishes to you as well, Joy.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So that ends it for our program. Next week we have Sandra Rita Don Lopez, provided that she is able to be with us. She was supposed to be with us today, but that didn't happen. She got ill, and I hopefully she'll be recovered by Monday. So watch for the advertisement. She will be on at 2 o'clock, April 3rd. See you all then. You have a good rest of your week. I hope you enjoyed it. Our program today, I know it's a little more complex than normal, but it's an exciting thing that he's producing here, and hopefully we'll all get to see it in the future. Bye, everybody. I'm going to try to end this darn thing gracefully today.